Hello, I'm Louise, and this is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM. Welcome. A lack of understanding of mental health issues can leave sufferers feeling isolated and hopeless. Only a small percentage of people with mental health issues feel that people are caring and sympathetic toward their struggles. There are many individuals who are fighting against the stigma associated with mental health disorders. So our guest today is from the non-governmental organization, and this is from Lifeline, and he happens to be also the Points of Light Award winner. Jerry Merekula, welcome.
Bulavinaka, Louise.
Well, it's lovely to have you. Now, since I've introduced you as the Points of Light Award winner, maybe you might like to explain more about this award from the Commonwealth.
Yes, Vinaka, thank you very much for that. The Commonwealth Points of Light Award is a award given by Her Majesty the Queen, and I believe in Fiji, the first Point of Light was awarded to Mr. Lionel Rogers with Youth Champs for Mental Health, and I'm the second one to receive that award, and I'm blessed that both of us are from the mental health stakeholders, and it shows also the work that we are doing around mental health and around suicide prevention is not only known within our country, but things the territory are enlarging and people starting to recognize the work we do around mental health.
Well, that's fantastic. I need to congratulate you for that. I mean, it's
you.
amazing. How did you feel?
Feel good, yeah. It was a good time meeting the Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex.
Man, you're so lucky to see them, in the flesh.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit? Oh, I probably would have fainted. But anyhow, why is it that Prince Harry is interested in mental health issues? Is there any reason for this?
Vinaka, I think mental health is a global issue, not only for Fiji. And I believe it's something that they have gone through personally and individually also. And we can see their commitments towards the cause around the world, and I think it's something also dearly to their heart. That is why he's championing on mental health.
Yeah, if I remember right, his mom, she went through a lot of issues. Yeah. Well, no wonder. But I think every human being in some time in their life will have something that will worry them at some time.
Yes.
Okay, right. So you might as well tell us now about the work Lifeline does.
Vinaka, Luis. Well, for Lifeline Fiji, solely does crisis intervention work. So when I say crisis intervention work, this actually focuses on telephone counseling. Lifeline operates a national crisis toll-free line that totally focuses on suicide prevention and mental health. So all the work that we do are done around mental health and suicide prevention. So with the line, it was launched in 2016, and since 2016 it has been running from then. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. So, who funds Lifeline?
Lifeline doesn't have any co-funding. We don't have any co-funding. Lifeline relies solely on community contribution, and also it does fundraising to support the work it does. Maybe it's because for mental health and suicide prevention, it's one of the taboo topics that we talk about. On the tables or everywhere we go to, so it's something that it's people don't really talk about.
So why do you think that it's a taboo subject?
Louise, it doesn't sound good if someone at a close family completes suicide or attempts suicide. It just doesn't bring it doesn't just bring the good things to the name of the family as well.
Okay.
So people rather shove it down the table
and forget about
it rather than talking about it.
Okay.
So with funding, that is something that we are struggling for. With just a few mental health stakeholders in Fiji, that we are trying to vying for funds, and there are just limited funds available from the government and also from other donor countries as well.
Right.
There are just a little pool of funds that are available on mental health and suicide. Yeah.
So you depend on yourself to, fundraise this money.
Yeah.
And would you like more funding, like from government, maybe?
Well, in the future, we're looking for more funding from the government of the day, since we are losing most of our young people through suicide in Fiji. And statistics and research has found out that suicide is 4 times more than the road death toll, and that is a wow. And for us also as a country, we won't want to put a bad face on what we are already putting across to the whole world, that we are Fijians, we are resilient, and suicide just paints a bad picture of it. But in reality, that is that is happening. People are completing suicide. People are going through emotional distress, and people need help.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes people just, close up, and I think that's why Lifeline is there because,
Yeah.
like you said, counseling. So, why does talking help individuals suffering from maybe depression or anxiety?
Naka, when you talk about your problem, it's always said that a problem shared is a problem halved. So when you share about your problems, when you share about what you're going through, it helps release those burdens that you're going through, and you're sharing it with someone else, and maybe that person will be able to help you, and look for places that you can get help from.
Thank you very much. Now, how many volunteers are with Lifeline?
Currently, we're working with 7 volunteers. We have 7 volunteers that are working for the organization and also amending the lines. Um, all of them are not paid. They are solely volunteering for the organization, and most of them have been with the organization and mending the lines from 2016.
Oh dear. I mean, to me, 7 is hardly enough.
Yeah.
But that's, I suppose, maybe you need a little bit more funding to be able to get volunteers. But we'll be back shortly on Speak Your Mind. This is Gold FM, only the classic hits. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. And our guest in the studio today is the officer in charge. This is for Lifeline, Jerry Merekula, who has been kind enough to come and tell us about this problem that a lot of human beings face in their lives. Now, do your volunteers get an allowance for the work that they do?
Yes, our volunteers have. They just recently been receiving allowances. It's not much, but it's something to help them. Like bus fares and some things for the week. Yeah.
Well, obviously, I mean, there's no such thing as a free lunch, and this work is 24 hours as well, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the telephone, people call up. What's the number again?
The number is 132454.
Okay. So, what is it like to be a volunteer at Lifeline?
To be a volunteer at Lifeline is challenging. There are times where the callers, there are times that the calls comes in, and it's some of the time it's tiring, and at the end of the day, it's also rewarding as well when you know that you have helped someone who was contemplating suicide, and you've saved the person from contemplating suicide. So it also could be very, emotional as well, and it's with the volunteers. That is, I would just say it's challenging to be a volunteer, and also mending the lines where people call in and talk about what they're going through, and you're at the receiving end, listening to what people go through, and try to be that shoulder where they can lean on to, and provide that service to the public. Yeah.
Okay, so how are the volunteers trained to do this job?
Yes, our volunteers, some of them have a psychology background. We have counselors as well. And also we have Lifeline Australia, our sister organization, who comes twice a year and run refresher training for us. So Lifeline Australia is a registered training organization that focuses on crisis support work. So every year they come twice a year to run refresher training for all the volunteers at Lifeline Fiji.
Okay, that's good. So Lifeline is your only partner is in Australia, or are they all over the world or something like that?
Lifeline is all over the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So what is your community mental health program like?
Community mental health program. With this, we collaborate with other mental health stakeholders. For example, Youth Champs for Mental Health, Fiji Alliance for Mental Health. We collaborate with Psychiatric Survivors Association. We know that we can't do this alone. In order for us to reach out and spread the word of mental health and suicide, we need to partner and collaborate with other mental health stakeholders. And we also thank the Ministry of Health for setting up the National Committee of the Prevention of Suicide, the NCOPS committee, that solely looks onto the prevention of suicide in Fiji. And that is a place where we have a meeting and we try to collaborate on the reaching out to the communities in Fiji.
Well, that's good to know. How many Fijians experience a mental health issue in their lives?
I would say all.
Right. Yeah, like I said earlier, that at some point in their life. But some are better getting over it than others, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on...
Yes, depends on your emotional and mental well-being. Everyone goes through crisis. No one doesn't go through crisis. We go through stresses of day. We go through. Most of us have anxiety problems. Most of us have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, when they go through traumatic events, and some of us have OCD. But many of us don't like admitting that we have this. And it's like what we say, we always bottle things up. We don't like talking about it. And this is the thing that, people, when they go through things, when they don't share about it, it comes to a place where they start to contemplate suicide on their brains and see how they can just end their life because there's no help. Well, that is
because, I mean, imagine how that person is feeling. It must be very hard. I mean, for a person who is not going through it, right, and someone who is going through it, we don't have any idea what's going on in their mind.
Yeah.
But I believe it's like an octopus grabbing hold onto your brain, and or maybe there's a tunnel, there's a light there, you're trying to reach for that light. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes, I mean, it's very sad.
Just to add on that, in Fiji, our youngest victim of completing suicide is a 7-year-old. So being a 7-year-old, yes, we don't know what is going through the kid's brain or things like that.
Shocking.
And yes, it is shocking, and it goes back to to what are we doing as parents, as families? What are we doing to provide safe spaces for people that are going through crisis to come and reach out for help and talk about what they're going through?
Okay, so I'm still thinking about that 7-year-old, and then we had even one that was somewhere around 11.
Yeah, recently.
Unbelievable. I just cannot believe it. But what, any idea what happened? Why they thought that way? Why did they do it? Are they all theories, some theories, maybe?
It's I would say that it's impulsive. We don't know what was going through the kids' head. For example, I think just last year we also lost a kid through suicide, where they just fought with the parents over a phone, and the parents didn't want to give him a phone, so he just went out the back door and then hung himself over a tree.
Goodness
So
me.
it's people, kids also have access to internet, to movies, where these things are shown, and when these things are shown, it actually gets into their brain, and so that's the only thing that gets into. If we face this, we have to do this, and that is something that we as parents, we as communities, we as leaders, and we as families we should start changing our language, and also should start providing safe spaces for our families to talk about what they're going through.
Right. So what do you think about, well, we'll have to come back. I'll ask you this question when we come back on Speak Your Mind, Gold FM, only the classic hits. I hope you're enjoying the program. This is Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. Lovely to have your company. Our guest in the studio is from Lifeline, Jerry Merikula. And well, I have to catch up on the last question, Jerry. So I just want to ask you, what do you think about suicide awareness in schools? And does it start from class? And what class year does it start from? I think it's year 1, year 2, and I'm not sure, but you might know more.
Sorry, I'm not too sure on what the year that it starts from.
Yes, but I know it's quite young.
Yeah, but it's quite young. Also, that on suicide prevention awareness in school, I believe that the NASAC team is closely working on it with the Ministry of Health and the NCOPS committee on designing things, materials to be taken into schools to run awareness on suicide prevention. And also, youth camps for mental health has been going out into schools, primary schools, and secondary schools, raising awareness on suicide prevention and mental health.
Oh, okay, thank you. So do you think it's a good thing?
It is a good thing. We have, if we look back into our suicide statistics for the past few years, we have young people from the age range of 11 till 18 years who have been completing suicide. This year, we have, just last week, we have 2 completed cases of suicide under the age of 17. So yes, suicide awareness in school is important, and there are sensitivity on the words and the languages to be used, and and I believe the NCOPS committee and they are trying to work on having a forum on that, on how we can use the sensitivity and the languages in going into schools.
Okay, thank you. Now, if you have a question, you may be listening in right now, or maybe an opinion, you're most welcome to call 3220906, or if you have a Digicel phone, 77320906. We would really love to hear from you. Now, what are our statistics of completing suicide in the country, Jerry?
Naka, as of March, we have lost 28 to suicide. This is excluding the ones we have for this month, and for the month of March, we have lost 28, and we have lost 15 females who have completed suicide and 13 males.
Oh my gosh, that's just terrible.
So I believe by now we would be sitting at around 30 plus, close to 40, with the recent cases.
And it's really
and it's
shocking.
not even towards the middle of the year.
Oh my goodness me. So how does someone even consider contemplating suicide?
That's a very good question. I believe it would go back on something that we're always trying to talk about, and I've said this over in the beginning, is the lack of support networks within our systems. Families, for kids, the question that always comes around their mind is that how can we trust our parents? How can we trust our sisters and brothers? Is there someone who we can trust and share what we go through? So most of them, because they have gone through maybe bad experiences earlier on of sharing what they go through, they pretend to bottle things up. They bottle things up, and it's just like a glass of water where you keep pouring the water into the glass, and then it comes to a time that it can't hold it anymore and it overflows.
Okay.
So that's how how we can hold as much as. Because as human beings, we are humans. We have feelings. We have emotions that we can't play with, And for young people to complete suicide, it has reached that standard that they can't
Handle it.
they handle it anymore. For example, we have just lost just last week we have lost um, a young person on suicide, and when we went back and we did the support, Bremen support, and we found out that she has lost his parents, and then there was no support within the community or around her to just to go and see how is she feeling, because she has just lost her parents. How is she feeling? How is she coping with life? We have come to a point in time where we stand back and we see people suffer,
Mm.
and we don't like to be part of it. But it's something that we're trying to fight against. If you see someone that is going through who's struggling and is going through something in life, reach out to the person and ask the person, how is she doing, how is he doing, and how is he coping.
How are you
Just
feeling?
just a question will change a person's mood, um, uh, when you're reaching out to them.
Man, that's so true, Jerry. I can just see where you're coming from because there's no support for the person,
Mm.
and families are not willing to help. So, why do you think families are not willing to help? Is it financial or is it just being selfish?
Um, I won't say financial, and I won't say
No, yeah,
selfish as
right.
well.
You don't have to say that. Yes.
But it's maybe just a lack of awareness that has been run, and that is why we're trying to get the media houses involved and trying to get the written medias out to the islands, that it is important to reach out for help, because people won't just you won't just sit down and help will come to you unless you reach out for help. And
Okay, yes.
so it is important that currently, and thank you to Gold FM for inviting us to be part of it, so that the message can go out to
Masses.
yeah, to the masses out there, for if they're going through struggles, if they're going through things, going through crises in life, for them to reach out for help.
Okay.
There's always the line, and Lifeline is having a national crisis toll-free line. They can call it for free if they need a support officer to help them. The number is 132454, and it's 24 hours a day, and they can call any time of the day if they need someone to talk to.
Okay, thank you. So again, if you want to ask Jerry a question or just share an opinion of your experience, you can call 3220906 or 77320906. So we will need to come back on Gold FM. This is Speak Your Mind. Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits, your only classic hits radio station in Fiji. Thank you a lot for your sweet company. Our guest in the studio today is from Lifeline, and he is Jerry Merekula. Now, we are talking about the work that they do and just continuing. What are the signs that someone wants to complete suicide?
Naka, um, when someone start contemplating suicide, he or she will will show effects like sign, like they would act out of their normal life. So if the person is quiet, you would see the person jovial and laughing and talking, doing this and that. So if the person is loud, and you'll see the person much more quiet and much more doing things. You'll also see, like, for some of our recent cases of suicide, some of the signs were, people started to give out their valuable possessions that they keep. So maybe like gold earrings or watches or phone. So they start giving it out. So when those things happens, that is a good time for us to start asking, why is this person doing this? And they are, they like I said, they'll act out of their normal life, and they do things that we don't think of them doing. So it's
Okay.
something that is a red flag for us to reach out and ask them if they need help.
Okay, and then you've got other cases where, hang on, I think someone is calling. Just give me a second. Gold FM, this is Speak Your Mind. How may I help you?
Hi. Is it possible I could make some comments regarding the topic?
Of course
Oh,
you can. You're more than welcome. What's your name?
Actually, this is Visharad.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi. Basically, I was just following the program and I had some suggestions. For example, when it comes to depression and rehabilitation, I think Fiji could do better probably in terms of government policies where, I mean, when people with sort of chronic or severe long-term depression try to get work, they may not be able to cope with the regular jobs, etc. So probably the government could help with policies, etc., that would help these people get back into the work system. And another thing I've come across is that when people go through these issues, for example, depression or any other mental disorders apart from psychosis or schizophrenia, it's always a lot of stigma that is attached even by their loved one or even by educated people. Huh? Even people who have gone through depression may have their own way of dealing it, but they prefer their friends who are going through it to follow their way of dealing with it. That's something I've seen and noticed. And I think another issue that I've come across is just basically the whole atmosphere. For example, in Suva, urban areas may not be conducive for people with, let's say, depression or who are suffering from, for example, migraine or insomnia or related to depression. It's people, basically playing loud music in the neighborhood, and you try to explain to them that you are being affected, and they are least bothered. I think some laws need to be looked into in terms of preventing such nuisance.
Well, thank you so much for contributing and sharing your opinion. But you wanted to say something else?
Yeah. In terms of support, I think there's room for greater support. For example, if you go to the health centers, etc., I think doctors need to be more attentive and more we could concentrate more on the patient to pick out on issues on depression, etc. Because, for example, I've got a friend who is going to the private doctors, but unfortunately, the doses of the medication, amitriptyline, is being increased, and she's having no benefit. On the other hand, on going to St. Giles, she's apprehensive because she's a bit afraid that the related stigma sort of attached to it is worse than her sort of coping mechanism.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. So, Jerry, would you like to add to that? So, is that it?
Yes, there's some more, but I think you'll run out of time.
No, that's okay. I mean, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think basically when it comes to GPs, etc., probably they could watch out for signs. For example, if someone is experiencing fatigue, etc., and for example, depression, I think most people have a perception that depression is to do with the emotions, for example, relationship breakdowns, etc. But there's also organic or a biological component to depression, where people may be depressed due to basically, the neurotransmitters, etc., serotonin, etc., that may not necessarily be related to emotional causes, relationship or sexual abuse, etc. Even though those are some of the causes, and I think people generally, even the well-educated ones, are very hard to sort of find it hard to understand. And there's also a lack of counselors in schools that can well-trained or experienced or attentive counselors that can pick these issues earlier in school students, because the longer that such type of depression, etc., is left untreated, the harder it is, and of course they might be exposed to addictive drugs, etc., as a way of escape or coping with studies. For example, one of the energy drinks was one way of my coping with studies in high school, but it basically made things worse in the end. And now you can find cases where such energy drinks are harmful to the body as well as to the mind. Yeah?
Okay, so thank you so much for contributing and sharing your opinion with us.
Yes, thanks. Basically, I think, in terms of my experience with high school counselors, they need to be well trained, and they need to they need to keep confidential between the students and the counselors. And even I think teachers also need such support in schools as well, because who knows who might be a victim of depression. A person who's going through depression may not necessarily know that he or she is going through depression. Yes, that's the issue, and I think one of the most harmful things is when you tell people that things could be worse, or there are things, people are dying around the world, and you're talking about depression. I think that's one of the negative comments that could be avoided.
All right, then we've just come to the end of this segment,
Sorry.
and thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. On Speak Your Mind, we'll be back shortly. Welcome back to Speak Your Mind on Gold FM, only the classic hits. Our guest from Lifeline, Jerry. Now, Jerry, Lifeline is having a Fiji Gala dinner event to raise funds. Can you tell us how we can support it?
Pinaka, Louise. On May the 4th, that is this Saturday, Lifeline Fiji will be having a annual gala dinner event at GPH, the Grand Pacific Hotel. Tickets are selling at $200 each. If you would like to purchase a table of 10, it's $1,950. All proceedings that will be collected during the event will go towards Lifeline's work around mental health and suicide prevention. The night will be an entertainment night. It will be full of entertainment. We have a guest speaker, DJ Forbes, who's arriving on Saturday and will be the guest of honor for the event. And we have entertainment lined up by the Kafa group of entertainment and also Talibans. So you'll have a great night of outing. If you need, if you wanna, donate your money somewhere that is worthwhile and worth supporting a cause, this is one of the events I would really push for. Lifeline event, all your money, all your proceedings will go towards saving someone's life.
Exactly.
And also supporting the National Crisis Line that is running and doesn't have any co-funding, and solely relies on community contribution for the support. Yeah.
Oh man, this if business houses, if you're listening in right now, I would suggest that you help this very worthy cause, because the problem of mental health issues is a real one, and it is a big one as well. You might like to just add on to that. Jerry, hang on, I think I've got a caller. Just a second. Gold FM, how may I help you? This is Speak Your Mind.
Hi, Louise. I have a few questions for Jerry.
Sure.
This is Gina from Suva. Citizen of Fiji too. First one, in terms of suicide, should it be discussed in schools? Should it be a part of the school curriculum? Second is, should there be a counselor or each school send a teacher to be trained in these type of events? Third question is, well, it's not really a question, it's a comment, but I really feel that the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education should be committing some kind of, it should be in a dialogue with Lifeline, Lifeline,
That's
and
correct.
have some kind of strategy and implement it as soon as possible, because first of all, these are our people who are dying, our brothers and sisters, and our own taxes should be invested into preventing people from going into these kind of acts.
Vinaka Vakaleva, what's your name, please?
Gina?
Okay, thank you, Gina. Jerry?
Lunaka Jina, thank you for that question. I would say that currently, yes, awareness on suicide should be done in school, and it should be tailor-made to suit the levels of understanding within our school system. And also, yes, the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Education are currently putting things together to be put into schools for awareness raising on suicide prevention. And yes, like I've mentioned earlier on, we're slowly working together with the government, for the support, because most of our young people are dying of suicide, and this is something that we're really pushing through for the government to support as well.
Exactly. Obviously, you will need funding to be able to carry out the work. So we'll go back to that gala that you're having where you have DJ Forbes. How can people get their tickets?
Vinaka, if you would like to purchase a ticket, you can call Selai at 9364 734, or you can call her on a digital number which is 7575650. You can also do your online booking through our website, Lifeline www.lifelinefiji.com. You can book it online as well. And just on that note, Louise, I want to thank our sponsors for the night. I want to thank
Sure.
Kontiki Finance. I want to thank FMF, who have come on board to support the event and be the platinum sponsor for the event. And we also would like to thank Westpac, Madsen Shipping, for being the gold sponsor of the event. And we want to, just like you said, for the business houses, please, if you have if you would like to support a cause that is worthwhile and is saving lives in Fiji right now, please call Selai and book for a table, because all your proceedings will go towards saving someone's life.
Okay, so when is it again?
Saturday, May the 4th, that is this Saturday at Grand Pacific.
So we don't have much time. So it is this Saturday, right?
Yep.
Okay, so please support this cause on Gold FM. Many thanks, Jerry from Lifeline, for talking to us. And on Gold FM, until next week, bye-bye.